Okay, so this is what we know. Junior revealed that he and his family are estranged, which we already knew. Mariah has been located, and Uncle LC unalived Jonah Silk. So what's next? Stay tuned. Hey, hey there. Welcome back to Lighten Up with Letitia. I'm Letitia, your host, and welcome back to my channel. And we are here for the next episode of the Family Business Season 5, and this is episode 3. It is titled Special Delivery. We see Paris. She's sitting at a cafe in London. Suddenly, Niles calls, which is her love, calling to see if she's indeed going to come and see him off before he goes to leave for an assignment. And she asks, do you have to go on this assignment? I mean, can't you just stay here with me? But he said that the client he already accepted the contract from his client, and the client already sent half the money, so he's got to go. Well, he asked her to come along, to which she unfortunately decided no. Her response was, "Hey, I don't want to leave the boutique owner. I guess she works at a boutique. Didn't want to leave her in the lurches." And he's like, you don't have to work at that boutique. You know that if you come with me, I'll share it with you, and your portion will be more than 6 figures. I don't know why you feel like you have to go. Come with me, and then we'll get a chance. Since it's in New York anyway, I'll get a chance to meet your family. All the while, we are seeing being revealed that he has a ring. So he is expecting to ask Paris to marry him. But again, she says she wants to be responsible. She decides to not go with him. And they exchange I love yous, right? And even though she says I love you when they hung up, she said, but I love my family more. Next thing you know, she pulls out some kind of contraption in out of her purse, and then the apartment that Niles was in suddenly explodes. But we find out this is actually a dream and or a flashback, because she wakes up in a cold sweat, and then she sees those roses that have been haunting her. Next, we go to Uncle LC, who wakes up refreshed after spending a titillating night with his wife Chippy. Now she is snoring in the background, but he got up flexing, went to go look at himself in the mirror, so excited. Where he gets a call from KD, child messing up his flow in the morning time. Anyway, KD was like, "Listen, I'm not at the Hellfire Club where I could be. Where I am instead is at the Harris County Morgue, where I am looking at Jonah Silk's body. Do you know anything about this?" So Uncle LC, he like, "Yep, I did it. Well, I did it. What you gonna do about it?" So he admits that he did it. And KD is beside himself, like, "What? Why would you do that? I can't believe you just said that." He said, "Do you know what you've done? Didn't you learn from the last time?" Which we know he is referencing that thing about Vegas, the reason why all of these good old boys are up in the uproar, the fact that Vegas is out, right? So he said, "No, I learned. What I learned was nobody's going to ever mess with me and my family ever again." Now, I told y'all something was wrong with Uncle LC since he had been underneath that shock therapy. Something got scrambled around. He is not well, but he's much more ruthless than we have ever seen him, and so we just gonna have to deal with this. But then he goes on to say, now, well, I'm sorry, not him, but KD goes on to say, the only thing about this is that Jonah told Spike Wallace that he was meeting up with you. So that means somebody else knows. And Spike, he can't keep his mouth shut. So Uncle LC was like, "Okay, don't worry about it. I'll handle him. He likes those big breasted girls, doesn't he?" KD is like, okay, I guess." And then Uncle LC says, "Let me get off this phone because I need to get back to my wife." Okay. Then we see Donna. Donna's not our favorite, but of course, We knew she was gonna make she's definitely gonna be in this season because she revealed that she is Junior's biological mother. So anyway, she is, I guess, was out for her walk, and she comes back in where Dominique LaRue is actually in her yard, and she's like, "Can I help you? You know what's going on? Why are you here? Do I know you?" So they make their introductions, and Dominique was like, "No, you don't know me, but I know you." And she starts telling her. Anyway, she introduced herself, and she said, "Listen, the enemy of my enemy is my friend." So, by the way, if anybody ever says that to you, always remember that that person is not actually your friend. You're just coming together to go against someone else. But once that assignment is done, child, do please remember they're not your friend. But anyway, she goes on to say, "Hey, listen, both of our men, or neither of our men, were ballsy enough to stand up against LC, and we both lost our daughters and do not want to lose our sons. So if I had a way for you to be able to get your revenge on that stank Chippy, would you be interested?" And of course, with the history that Donna and Chippy had, she's like, "Yes, you had me at revenge." Mm. Now, back at the mansion, everyone is meeting up for breakfast, but they're so surprised to see that Rio is up because normally, he don't get up to like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But he was all gung ho because he was like, "Listen, I got a new club coming up that's opening up in the Hamptons," which I'm excited about that because we're going to see some crossover from the Black Hamptons and the Duncans based on this particular club, right? So they're just having, morning time banter at the table. Paris brings up that she's been having some bad dreams. And Rio was like, but you've been getting some beautiful flowers. And so he's telling her business, and everybody's at the table's like, "Ooh, tell us about these flowers." And it's revealed that it's those blue Ecuadorian roses. And Orlando was like, "Yeah, those are like $800 a dozen. Who you get these from?" So they're inquiring. Then she's like, "Listen," she decides, she goes off. She's like, "Listen, get out of my business, basically. And if you want to you want to know, just ask Rio and Lauren since they all up in my business." Child, she got upset and left the table. Meanwhile, Aunt Nene is like, "So where is Chippy?" Child, Aunt Chippy is still recovering from last night. So she is still in the bed. Uncle LC was like, "She'll be down a little bit later." Okay, so on a more serious note, we are then at the hospital where we see Roman is there visiting his mom, who is unconscious, and she is laying in the bed. Well, she's probably sedated. And admin comes in. Now he's begging her to stay. "Mom, I need you to be here. I need you. Just hang in there." Admin comes in there to say basically, "Baby, your mama's insurance has lapsed and you're gonna need to pay an out of pocket payment. Your aunt has known about this a while, and if we don't get that payment, we're gonna have to move her to a city run hospital." And he's like, "But this is the best hospital for what she has going on." She says, "I understand that, but this is still a business, and if you don't get the money by the end of the week, we're gonna have to move her." So she's gonna be moving at the end of the week. So he's in a panic. He's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of it." Then Chippy and Nene, because Aunt Chippy finally comes down after her much needed rest after her time with her husband last night. She was exhausted. She comes down to have breakfast. Her and Nene are talking. And Nene reveals that she's jealous because she wishes she knew where her husband was. Now I'm thinking, now you didn't visit him that many times at Fresh Meadows. So, ma'am, if you waited a decade to not have your husband, now all of a sudden you missing him so much, blah blah. Okay, I'm like, okay, hey Nene, but I hear what you're saying. I know you want your husband, but baby, no. And also this is the time when I started side eyeing Aunt Nene because I feel like a lot of women, if you read the books, you'll know that later on we'll talk about Big Shirley in New Orleans, and Nene and Donna. I really feel like those women, they may love Chippy, but I still feel like there's a bit of jealousy underneath in each of their relationships. But I digress. Moving on to Rio and Paris. So Rio confronts Paris like, "Okay, girl, what is going on?" Now, you didn't want to talk about it yesterday, but you about to tell me what's going on now. What is going on? To which Paris explains, okay, I just want to let you know that Niles is dead. And no, I didn't mention anything before because with say I'm not Sage, but with Sasha's funeral and everything else going on, um, she just didn't have time basically to tell anybody. And nobody else knew anyway that she knew that she was dating Niles except for her twin. So well she found out that he was a hitman and she even went on jobs with him, right? So they show a flashback of when they were actually on the job. She got both marks. They were supposed to like each get one, and he was supposed to wait for the signal from Niles. But you know, she a professional. She know what she doing. Now he doesn't know she's a professional, but we know she's a professional. She got both marks. She agreed to take half the money, and you know that was a flashback. So then Rio was like, well, what happened to him? Did one of his marks get him? And she admitted that she unalived him and that she had no other choice. So then they show another flashback of when they were together um, in that hotel room in London, right before she would have been sitting at the little cafe. And she was like, oh, you know, he was in the shower. And she was like, let's look and see who the next assignment is. So she went to go look in the envelope for the next assignment. And child, she was not prepared for what she saw in the envelope. A picture of her father. Someone hired Niles to unalive and assassinate her father, L.C. Duncan. So she felt like she had no choice. She had to take him out because she could not allow for him to take out her dad. Now, Real was like, well, are you sure that he's unalive? And she said, yes, I saw him covered up. You know, I saw them take him out. But we will see if Niles indeed is alive. So then we go back to Uncle LC, who surprisingly goes to see LoJack of all people. You know, and LoJack doesn't even know what to think. He's like, "Oh, is this about Mrs. Duncan's car?" He was like, "What about Duncan's car?" He's like, nothing, nothing. If she didn't tell you, you know, I fixed her car or whatever." Child, he did not want to tell Uncle LC about that carjacking. So, but Uncle LC wasn't trying to hear nothing LoJack was saying anyway. He said, "Listen, I need you." He handed him an envelope and he said, "Hey, I need you to deliver this to this address tonight." And then we'll see exactly what got delivered to what address later on. Okay, so now Rio and Nevada they're in the car on the highway, supposed to be headed to the Hamptons to check out the new club and to take care of business there, but they're actually going in the opposite direction, to which Nevada does call out. Well, they headed back to the old church where he and his mama got carjacked, right? Okay. So he tells Nevada, listen, I know that there's some kind of footage. There got to be some cameras around here. I need you to go in here and try to find out what kind of footage you have about this carjacking. So while Nevada is looking, he's distracting Aunt Diane, you know, the lady whose son is also gay and she wants him to get with Rio. So he went to go talk to her under the guise that he wanted to get to know more about her son. So, of course, Nevada is able to get that footage. And when they go to leave, and Diane was like, don't forget to call my son. Real's like, okay. And they leave out. Then we get to Dominique. So we see that Dominique has gotten very close to. Remember when she asked Antonio to go save her son and daughter, and he did from the McLeods? Well, they've been on and popping ever since. Now, I saw an interview with um, the Trisha Grant, who is the actress that plays Dominique LaRue, and she said that their backstory is that she and Antonio actually were college sweethearts. I was like, that's interesting. So anyway, they are hot and heavy in the pool and enjoying each other. And Antonio asked Dominique if Donna is getting on board. She said, I'm working on her. And what about Junior? I'm sure I can get her to get her son on board as well. So we know that there's some kind of plot brewing. We don't know what it is just yet, but I can tell you it's going to be a doozy. Next thing you know, Antonio gets a call from one of his men stating that they still have not found Vinny. They haven't seen Vinny. They haven't seen Ruby. They haven't seen the baby. So he asked about our Orlando. Two words Orlando at. They said Orlando is back in New York. So he gets off the phone and he tells Dominique, child, I may have to put a bullet in the head of Orlando. Child. Moving on. Uncle LC and C Note pull up to some kind of car lot and they both get out. And Uncle LC says, okay, all right, C Note, thanks so much for the ride. Now you can go. C Note, like, I can't just leave you. I'm your detail, And so he was like, that's an order. You need to leave, and that's an order. Now, while that may have been an order, there is no way in the world your security detail should not know where the hell you are at any time, at all times, period. Even if he didn't roll with him, he should have put a tracker on him. He should have followed closely behind. They should have had some inkling of where he is. What's the point of security detail if they're not going to secure you? Okay, no, okay, moving on. So they get to the car lot. So this is what LoJack had delivered. He had a car delivered to this lot. Uncle LC gets in the car and drives off, and we will see where he goes a little bit later. Now, then we see Curtis playing basketball on this basketball court, and Paris comes up to visit. So he comes over to sit down or whatever. And she said, I hear that you trying to leave. He said, yeah, I'm trying to go back to Waycross. I'm homesick and I really miss bounty hunting. Now, interesting, he was going to go back to Waycross to see his mama, but his mama is now in New York with them. So now why does he feel like he needs to go to Waycross? But he was just basically saying that he really was wanting to get back to bounty hunting. And she said, well, listen, if you look for a job, I could really use your help. I need to find out who's sending these roses because this person I think it is a ghost. So he's like, okay, well, tell me more. She says the man's name is Niles Monroe, and I need to find out whether or not he is dead or alive because somebody is messing with me when it comes to these roses, and I need to figure out what's going on. And by the way, don't tell anybody else about this. It's just between me and you. Now back to Roman. Now Roman and Darnell, child, there's a robbery in play. They're going to rob this dude that they have been tracking for a little while, right? So Roman goes to check to see if this house is empty while our Darnell has this guy hemmed up. Now he throws him the money. The guy throws Darnell the money. And when Darnell goes to reach for the money, dude tries to pull a piece out from behind him. Well, he pulls it out, almost getting Darnell, but Roman came to the rescue, shot the guy, and then it was over. Now, listen, they took the money, they rolled out, and Darnell finished the job, of course, before they actually left. Then they went joyriding. Darnell was thanking Roman, basically saying, yep, you on my team now. You had my back. You could have popped me too and took the money. You could have left me there, whatever. And he said, but you on my team. We all good. What you gonna do with your money? So of course, Roman is like, I told you my mom's needs has some hospital bills, so he's gonna pay the hospital bill with that. And when he asked Darnell what he was gonna do with his money, he said, listen, we going to party. Let's go party tomorrow. Come party with me. And Roman was like, no, I think I better stay around where my mom is. He's like, no, sir, we got to go and party. We're going to be out here in the Hamptons partying. My cousin Cornelius is a promoter, and we're going to be out there partying with Bobby the Beast Boyd, who we know is in the Black Hamptons, right? They're going to be crossing these characters from the Black Hamptons and the family business, right? So Roman does agree. And I'll give a big revelation once we get to the actual club, right? I'll do that for the next episode. So he agrees to go party with them tomorrow. Now, meanwhile, Junior is at the Hellfire Club, child, again, because that's where he's spending most of his time. But who's also there is Spike Wallace. Remember, Spike is the one that Jonas Silk told that he was going to meet with LC. He the big mouth. And he is a big mouth. He talking all sorts of things at the Hellfire Club, but he from Clarksville, Tennessee, and he is in the Hellfire Club enjoying his damn self, okay? He was indulging and overindulging, and he said he would be back. And he had a car out waiting because he had to get back home. So he goes outside and he says, "Oh, you here for me?" The driver says, "Yes, sir." And then he puts his bag in the trunk. Spike gets in the car, and slowly this driver turns around. And guess who it is? Uncle LC. Child. Uncle LC. Then later on in the episode, next thing you know, he is waiting. Uncle LC is waiting for Aunt Chippy to come pick him up in the middle of nowhere. And they pan to the back of the car. Child Spike is laid out in the car. So Aunt Chippy comes to this remote location to come pick him up. And it's like, where is your car? This is not your car. What is going on? And she fussing, but he ready to get it on, child. He is ready to get it on. He was like, listen, it's a nice night tonight. I'm over 60. I got a hot wife. Pull over. She's like, what? He's like, pull over. So they get to giggling like teenagers, pulled over, and was doing the do in the back seat of a vehicle. Moving on. Okay. So then Orlando, he is leaving Duncan Motors for the night. And all of a sudden, Antonio and his men pull up and started pointing them things at him. Had him surrounded. So Antonio's like, listen, we need to have a chat. So I'm going to need you to get in this car. Orlando is like, I think not. I won't be doing that. He said, listen, we got a lot to catch up on. Okay? Because you know the reason why he's asking him. He's looking for Vinny. And at this point, I'm sure he's thinking, if I ain't heard from Vinny, that's not like him. Orlando did something to Vinny, and I'm going to need to take out Orlando because he took out Vinny. And so he's like, I'm going to need you to take a walk with me. And Orlando stands there, and they're at a standoff at this point. And that is how the episode ended. So I was like, oh my gosh, how is Orlando going to get out of this situation? He is literally surrounded by all of these people, and they got the things pulled out on him. I don't know if he's armed or not, but he is certainly in a vulnerable spot. So we'll just have to see what happens next, child. Woo! Anyway, so if you made it this far, I thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You know, I'm on my way to 100 subscribers, and then we'll be on our way to 500 subscribers, and then we'll be on our way to 1,000 subscribers. But if you like this caption or you like this recap, make sure you join me. And if you missed episodes 1 and 2, don't forget to look at those as well and join me on here. As you know, I am recapping the season 5 to for those people who are watching it right now on BET. It is on BET on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you do not have the app or haven't had the app and you're watching along on BET, make sure you're following me so that we can recap these and talk about it together. Join me in the comments and tell me what you think about this episode. And again, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will talk to you soon. See ya.